Hey guys, it is Countess back with you for just kind of a lighthearted video tonight. And it's something that I made a connection with memoirs and an online article that I happened to stumble upon. I have been doing a little bit of research for a kind of heavier video, and so that is in the process of being made. So I figured in the meantime, let's do this little fun video. It's always fun to kind of have things align, stuff that you have read in books, not even just like the memoirs, but just in books, and then you find other pieces of information out there that sort of validate what you read. And I thought that this was just kind of a coincidence, I guess, that I stumbled upon it. So what it is I want to turn to page 256 in the memoirs of BiLLy shares. And this is the page that talks in the footnote. I want to touch upon the footnote of this page. This page footnote discuss the FooL, the tarot FooL. And if you look at the numerology on the page, it reduces to the number 13, which is all about good luck and good fortune and setting off on a new beginning, which is exactly what the FooL is and does. He is just starting off on his life journey. So anyway, I wanted to read this footnote first, and then I wanted to share an online article with you guys that I found quite interesting and totally ties to this little footnote. Okay, so in tarot, the FooL is a joyfully oblivious youth starting life's journey. In playing cards, a joker depicting a court jester is a wild card. In a few games that use that card, the joker usually replaces or trumps any natural card, including jesters or fools. In royal courts was a custom that dates back to ancient Egypt, but is now more readily associated with the British. The court jester entertained the monarch and visiting dignitaries. More than amusing guests with music, storytelling, and physical comedy, many were best known for their sharp wit. Sharing meals with the royal family, they were privy to all of the inside information, which they could use in subtle innuendo to humiliate an annoying guest. The jesters were among the very few to get away with making fun of a monarch. If witty enough, he could say most anything. The Royal Order of Jesters, which I never even knew this order existed. And I just think that it's a very cool title for a secret order. So the Royal Order of Jesters, controlled by their subgroup, the Secret Orders of Brothers in Blood. Yikes, now that's very contradictory to the Royal Order of Jesters, in my opinion. I find that pretty funny. So, controls and is a subgroup of the Shriners. Yes, a Masonic society best known for their hospitals. Oh, and don't forget, in America, their circuses. The Shrine Circus, I remember going to that. When I was a kid. I totally do not condone circuses nowadays, but when I was a kid, I remember going to the Shriners Circus. And my grandpa was actually a Shriner, so tidbit there. Anyways, so a Masonic society best known for their hospitals. Admission to the Jesters by invitation only is limited to those at the top of the craft. William, the fool on the hill, is as a joyful youth, oblivious to the dangers of replacing or trumping the natural card. He is a jester with all of the inside information that he exchanges with other jesters of secret orders. If he writes masterfully, using wit to conceal his message in plain sight, he can say most anything. He is talking perfectly loudly, but nobody seems to hear him. Yes, and wow, like I said, I want to join the Royal Order of the Jesters. No, actually I don't, so scratch that. I just like the name of it. Anyway, wow. So I want to go to this online article that I found while doing research for the next video I'm going to be putting out. This article comes from a publication called Far Out, and it was written by Sam Kemp on August 23rd of 2022. And the title of it is The Beatles Song Paul McCartney Wrote After Being Inspired by Tarot Cards. Let's looky. I'm going to start on the second page because when I printed this off, it didn't give me the full picture, and I don't have the digital picture in front of me right now. So we're going to start at tarot was invented in the 15th century Italy, but became a staple of the occult and the mystical, finding particular favor with the hippies of the 1960s and 70s. McCartney was introduced to tarot by an artist called Margit Koger, who caught the attention of Brian Epstein and Mal Evans with her dazzling poster and album cover designs. She and her colleague, Simon, were even invited to work on the initial illustrations for the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band cover. In his 1997 book, Many Years From Now, Paul McCartney opened up about how a tarot reading with Koger inspired one of his more wayward tracks. I used to know Margit. She was a quite striking-looking girl, he recalled. She used to read my fortune and tarot cards, which was something I wasn't too keen on because I didn't want to draw the death card one day. Which, pause that, drawing the death card, FYI, is not a bad thing. I know it can sound daunting and scary, but really when you draw the death card, it is an omen of something new and something good that is transitioning in your life. It's the death of the old, so the new can begin. I think BiLLy probably knows that and is just kind of playing daft here. So let's continue. I still don't like that kind of stuff because I know my mind will dwell on it. During that reading, Paul kept on pulling the same card. I always steered a bit clear of all that shit, but in fact, it always used to come out as the Fool, he remembered. And I used to say, oh dear, and she used to say, no, the Fool's a very good card. On the surface, it looks stupid, the Fool, but in fact, it's one of the best cards because it's the innocent, it's the child, and it's the adventurous. McCartney, who was immediately reminded of how gurus were often treated as quacks and nutters by society as a whole. In FooL on the Hill, Paul draws attention to the West's eagerness to dismiss Eastern philosophies simply because they don't always offer concrete answers. Day after day, alone on a hill, he sings in the opening verse. The man with the foolish grin is keeping perfectly still, but nobody wants to know him. They can see that he's just a fool, and he never gives an answer. And then they cut it off right there. Please, please, please don't mind my totally tone deaf singing, but when I hear these, like when I see these lyrics, I have to sing them. I'm sorry. Okay. And actually, side note, I think right now we can all, instead of calling him Paul, we'll just insert the name BiLLy, because this is straight up BiLLy. And so the final paragraph of this really kind of cheeky, insightful little article. BiLLy was by no means the first to identify the fool as a wise man in disguise. Shakespeare understood very well that those who appear mad to the rest of society often possess some higher knowledge. Take the jester in King Lear, for example, the only character the titular Mad King allows to question his decisions. Though he is a figure of fun, he has far more sense and sanity than anyone else in the play. Macartney's fool, who sees the world spinning round where others see only darkness, is much the same. It's kind of fun, right? I love that. I remember, when I found that article online, I totally remembered that footnote, and I got it out when I got home. And yes, the connection is there. We're being told in a mainstream article. And I think that is just really awesome. So then just one last thing I wanted to go over is this other article I found from the Theosophical Society in America's website, and it is called Four of a Kind, The Tarot of the Beatles by Kevin Hendricks. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'm just going to breeze over, and we're going to highlight which cards are for who and why. But I just want to read this quote at the beginning. It's by a man named Jonathan Miller, and it goes, "There is something magical and sinister about repetitive siblings. Mythology is very strong on them. The Beatles inspire terror, awe, and reverence." And so I just thought that was a pretty insightful quote to start this. So it's going to go through the different tarot cards that each Beatle represents. So we're going to start off with Ringo. And I like how they inserted the Beatles face over the Rider-Waite-Smith Major Arcana cards. I think that's awesome. So obviously Ringo Starr is the star. And it's the 17th card in the sequence of the Major Arcana cards. And the star, it's more than a pun. This card represents hope, trust, and optimism. Its positive aspects include bright prospects, opportunity, and satisfaction. And I found it kind of interesting down a little bit, a couple of more lines. It says, it's the first card to complement and complete the gifts of the magician. See below. So, Ringo Starr is the star in tarot. Next, we go to Mr. George Harrison as the one and only Hermit card. So the Hermit card is actually the 9th card in the Major Arcana deck, and it represents both a seeker and a teacher. It attributes to knowledge, deliberation, thriftiness, caution, silent counsel, and inner wisdom. So definitely fits with George's vibe for sure. And then the next, of course, we have our third Beatle, BiLLy McCartney, is represented by the Fool. And it's a card that denotes creativity, enthusiasm, being theatrical, unpredictable. It shows naivete and experience, and just someone who's ready to take on the world no matter what the consequences are. He's unconfined by boundaries. And as per the star, with the Fool, there is an instinctive affinity with the Magician card. Again, see below. But the Fool can be called the Sorcerer's Apprentice. So they both have like the same kind of pathway, but the Magician's a little bit more experienced than the Fool. So, and then lastly, John's card, they say, would be the Magician. And it's the first card in the major arcana. So the Magician is also called the Sorcerer, the Juggler, or the Minstrel. It is a card of human consciousness seeking to manifest its latent divinity. It's identified with the power to bring things into being, and with originality, dexterity, spontaneity, self-reliance, resolution, imagination, and transformation. So, like, I just think that that is very, very cool. You know, I don't know. And if you guys definitely agree with that, I'm not sure I would call John the Magician. I mean, I don't know what I would call John. I would maybe do John as like strength, or the Chariot, maybe. Always pushing forward, you know, not wanting to stay stagnant in the Beatles mentality, you know. So just to wrap it up, so with these 4 Beatles cards, so the 4 of them together represent the World card in tarot. So the World signifies it's like completion, attainment of a goal, success, triumph in undertakings, rewards of hard work, admiration of others, an aerial voyage, and apotheosis. The card shows a young woman encircled in a wreath forming a mandorla or vesica, Pisces, nature surrounded by the divine, the worlds of the spirit and matter meeting. She has a leg raised in a dance, evoking Shiva, the dance of creation, and she holds a wand in each hand to illustrate the opposing principles of duality: yin-yang, light-dark, male-female. So again, I'm going to end this video on duality. It is a word that we're really getting to know quite well, going through these memoirs and also these outside sources. And that's what I find fascinating. And because, you know, I'm a tarot reader, I found these articles to be quite interesting, and I just wanted to share them with you guys. So I hope you found them as entertaining and as informative as I did, because it was meant to be more of a light video today. My next video is going to be a little bit more heavy, to say the least. So until we meet again, It's been real and it's been swell, and I will check you guys later in the next video. Bye.